This isn't just a story about a medal or a ceremony. It's about a single moment that turned into a message for an entire nation. When President Trump noticed a young Marine quietly crying on the White House lawn, he walked over to ask why, and the answer became something America would never forget. The White House lawn carried a quiet hum of anticipation as families, veterans, and members of the media gathered for the National Heroes Awards ceremony. It was rare for the president to stay for the entirety of the event, but this year was different. Neatly arranged rows of chairs faced the stage, and the American flag waved proudly overhead. President Donald Trump, back in office, made his way toward the podium with a confident but familiar smile. His arrival drew every eye, yet something beyond the crowd caught his attention. Toward the rear of the seating area stood a young Marine, likely no older than 25. His uniform displayed an impressive array of medals and ribbons, yet his composure was unusual. His lips quivered slightly, and a single tear traced down his cheek. Seeing a Marine cry was rare. Even the Secret Service exchanged uncertain glances. Mid-stride, Trump stopped. Then, without warning, he stepped away from the path to the stage and headed toward the Marine. The crowd murmured in surprise as he placed a steady hand on the young man's shoulder. "What's your name, son?" Trump asked. "Corporal Mason Reid, sir," the Marine replied, startled. "And why are you crying, Corporal?" the president asked, his voice softer now. The Marine hesitated before speaking. "Because, sir, this medal, it's not really mine, it belongs to someone who isn't here." Reporters leaned forward, cameras zoomed in, and the gathering fell silent. Trump gestured for Reid to follow him to a shaded corner behind the stage, away from the crowd's eyes. "Tell me," Trump said gently, "who does it belong to?" Reid drew in a deep breath. "Sergeant Daniel Holt. He was my team leader during deployment last year. He saved my life and the lives of 3 others. He never made it home." Trump listened intently. "And now," Reid continued, "I'm here receiving an honor that should have been his. It feels wrong. It should be his name they're calling, not mine." The Marine's voice trembled but didn't break as he spoke about Holt's wife Jenna and the baby girl he never had the chance to meet. Holt had written to them every week and dreamed of opening a small garage when he returned. "You're carrying a weight no metal can make lighter, Mason," Trump said quietly, "but you're not alone in it." Reid looked up in surprise. "I want you to come on stage with me," Trump continued. "Not just to receive your medal, but to tell America exactly what you just told me." As the program continued, Trump whispered instructions to an aide, and the event schedule shifted. The organizers worked quickly behind the scenes, unsure of the sudden change, but the president was determined. When Trump returned to the podium, his voice rang across the lawn. "Before we present today's honors, I want you to meet someone, Corporal Mason Reid. He has a story America needs to hear." Murmurs swept through the crowd as Mason walked to the microphone. His grip tightened on the podium as he steadied his breath. Trump stood just behind him, arms crossed in quiet support. "I didn't expect to speak today," Mason began. "I'm just a Marine, not a public speaker. But I owe it to a man who gave everything." He told the crowd about Sergeant Holt, how they were ambushed in Kandahar, how he froze in fear while Holt acted without hesitation, pulling him to safety and taking the bullet meant for him. "This medal they're giving me," Mason said, "he earned it, and I won't accept it without saying his name, telling his story, and reminding everyone that some heroes never come home." The audience was still, many wiping away tears. Then, Trump's eyes shifted toward the back, where a woman cradling a baby stood motionless. He quietly sent for her, and moments later, she was escorted forward. Mason's voice faltered. "Jenna," she nodded, holding the child close. The baby's eyes were Daniel's. "This is Sergeant Holt's wife," Trump told the crowd, his voice filled with respect. "She wasn't supposed to be here today, but fate brought her here." Trump stepped down from the stage, medal in hand, and pinned it to Jenna's chest. "This is his medal," he said, "and you are his legacy." It wasn't the applause that mattered, it was the unity in the eyes of everyone present. By the next morning, the video had spread across the internet. Headlines read, "Marine Honors, Fallen Sergeant and President Breaks Protocol to Deliver Truth." Mason's emotional tribute reached millions. Yet for Mason, the publicity wasn't important. A few days later, he sat in a small Arlington diner with Jenna and baby Hope. Trump's chief of staff had reached out, saying the president wanted to do more. Mason wasn't sure what that meant. Jenna smiled. "Maybe it means we tell more stories." Daniel wasn't the only one. Later, a Vietnam veteran approached their table. "I saw you on TV, son. That was brave." "Thank you, sir," Mason replied humbly. "No," the veteran said, "thank you. People need to be reminded of what sacrifice looks like." Back at the White House, Trump told his advisors, "We need to amplify this moment. It's not about me, it's about that Marine's words and the silence after them." Soon, Mason was invited back to Washington. In the Oval Office, Trump told him, "I don't want you to fade from the headlines. I want you to lead a national message about honor and sacrifice. America needs to hear it from someone real." Mason hesitated. I'm no politician, Mr. President. Exactly, Trump replied. That's what makes it powerful. By the next day, Mason had a plan. Voices of the Fallen. He told Trump, a platform for families of fallen service members to share their stories. Trump agreed immediately. A living tribute so no one forgets. The launch was simple. A podium, the flag, and a banner reading Voices of the Fallen. Mason spoke without nerves this time, sharing Daniel's story again. The poker games in dusty tents. The way Holt's laugh made war feel a little less heavy. This isn't a government program, Trump told the press afterward. It's a human program, led by those who carry scars we cannot see. Stories poured in from across the nation. Parents, siblings, spouses, each sharing memories raw and unfiltered. Mason read every one. They're not just names on a wall, he told Trump. They're people whose stories were cut short. Each week, one story was featured nationally. America wasn't just remembering its heroes, it was hearing them. Some critics called it political theater, but Trump addressed it head-on. If you think honoring our fallen is political, you've lost your compass. One day, Mason received a handwritten letter from Daniel Holt's father. You gave my boy a voice again. I was angry at the world, but now I read these stories every morning. Somehow, it's helping me breathe. For Mason, that was the real medal. Months later, he spoke at a high school assembly for Veterans Day. If your best friend gave everything for you, he asked the students, how would you honor them? A single voice replied, I'd live better. Exactly, Mason said. On Memorial Day, the first national segment of Voices of the Fallen aired. It began with Daniel Holt's photo, Mason's speech, and a mosaic of faces. Trump closed the segment. Sometimes the bravest voices come from those who can't speak anymore. Today, we choose to listen. There were no hashtags, no politics, just stillness. Later, at Arlington Cemetery, Mason, Jenna, and Hope stood with Trump at Holt's grave. Hope placed a small drawing of her father with angel wings. Trump touched the headstone. I never met him, he said, but he changed how I see this country. In time, a scholarship fund was created in Holt's name, supporting children of fallen service members. Mason began writing a memoir, The Medal I Didn't Earn, dedicated to Daniel and all the silenced voices of war. It became a bestseller, not for entertainment, but for truth. A year after that first ceremony, Mason stood again on the White House lawn. You once asked me why I was crying, he told Trump. The answer became bigger than either of us. It became a promise. He looked out at the crowd. If you love this country, prove it, not by shouting the loudest, but by remembering the quietest. The audience fell silent before a simple chant began to rise. We will remember. And they did. This story is more than a moment between a president and a Marine. It's a lesson in humanity, loyalty, and the unspoken cost of service. Corporal Mason Reid's quiet tears and heartfelt words reminded us that the truest acts of courage often happen far from the battlefield. They're found in the love we hold for our brothers and sisters in arms, and in the strength it takes to carry their memory. Sergeant Daniel Holt's sacrifice teaches us that freedom comes with a price, one paid in dedication, in bravery, and sometimes, in the lives of those we cherish most. And President Trump's decision to pause, listen, and comfort shows that leadership is as much about compassion as it is about command. The moral of this story is simple, yet profound. Never take the people who protect you for granted, and never let the memory of a hero fade. Honor is not just in the medals we award, but in the respect, gratitude, and remembrance we show every day. We learn here that it's not always grand speeches or big gestures that leave the deepest mark. Sometimes it's a quiet moment, a shared tear, or a simple thank you that speaks volumes. What about you? What's the most powerful way you think we can honor our heroes? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to share this story so more people understand the heart behind the uniform